Sephora's biggest sale of the year is on. Get 20% off the best gifts, including makeup from brands like Rare Beauty.
Oh my gosh, thank you.
20% off skincare from brands like Glow Recipe and Summer Fridays.
These are my fave.
20% off hair care like Way and K18.
I'm obsessed.
And 20% off fragrances like Valentino, Donna, Born, and Roma.
So good.
20% off your purchase, now through December 15th. Shop now at Sephora and Sephora at Kohl's.
Subtle results, still you, but with fewer lines. Botox Cosmetic, out of botulinum toxin A, is a prescription medicine used to temporarily make moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines look better in adults.
Effects of Botox Cosmetic may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness may be a sign of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Don't receive Botox Cosmetic if you have a skin infection. Side effects may include allergic reactions, injection site pain, headache, eyebrow and eyelid drooping, and eyelid swelling. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Tell your doctor about medical history, muscle or nerve conditions including ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects. For full safety information, visit BotoxCosmetic.com or call 877-351-0300.
See for yourself at BotoxCosmetic.com.
Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
In October 2019, Arlington, Texas was chosen to be the home of a new national museum, unlike any other. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a unique home of military history. The 100,000 square foot museum will house exhibits, archives, and artifacts relating to the 3,500 U.S. troops who have been awarded the medal, the nation's highest honor for valor in combat. The museum will have 31,000 square feet of galleries dedicated to U.S. troops who have received the award. The museum CEO, former Navy SEAL and NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy, said the museum will focus on education as much as preservation. The building will have 5 areas dedicated to Medal of Honor winners from the Army, Marine Corps, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. The main gallery will be located in a central plaza under a 25,000 square foot slab of steel, which will appear to be suspended in midair. It will be supported by 5 pillars. Black Rifle Coffee is a corporate sponsor of the museum, as are the Dallas Cowboys. The museum's board also includes over a dozen major corporations and 6 Medal of Honor recipients, including David Bellavia, Patrick Brady, and Britt Slabinski. Army Staff Sergeant Bellavia was awarded the medal for clearing an entire house by himself on November 10, 2004, as a squad leader in support of Operation Phantom Fury in Fallujah, Iraq. He killed 4 enemy fighters and wounded a 5th in close quarters battle. Army Major General Brady flew and coordinated the evacuation of 51 seriously wounded men during a firefight in Vietnam in January 1968. Slabinski, a Navy SEAL chief and team leader, led a rescue team of SEALs during Operation Anaconda in Afghanistan in March 2002. Slabinski and his team flew to a mountaintop ambush site to rescue Petty Officer First Class Neil Roberts, who had fallen from the back of a helicopter. Slabinski led the team through almost constant combat against an entrenched Taliban force. Along with the board members, former presidents Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and Barack Obama serve as honorary directors. The museum is expected to open to the public in late 2024.
All right. Welcome back. MisFitNation. We are a show founded by a veteran and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their story to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with MisFitNation. If you're a musician or actor. Our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on and share some of your tips with the Misfit Nation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you're a corporate leader or an entrepreneur, come on and share how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you're a veteran, first responder, or Gold Star family, we would love to have you come on and just share your story with the Misfit Nation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or are embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you're a new listener, welcome to the Misfit Nation. Be sure to subscribe to our show on your favorite podcast apps and also on our YouTube channel at @_Misfit Nation. Subscribe and click the bell to keep you up to date with our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Heroes Media Group and About Face Radio. Now, let's get to the show. All right. Welcome to our Thursday after dinner show. Coming here from the heat wave of Tennessee. It's beautiful to see the sun, but it's not good to feel it burning your body and burning your grass that you work so hard for. But thankfully, we can complain about being burnt by the sun and have that in our lives. Tonight, we have a good one, y'all. Our next guest spent a combined 20 years as a financial advisor and mortgage advisor, had countless conversations with women. She decided to pursue her dream of financial coaching for women. She's a teacher at heart and loves to educate and empower women with money smarts. Understanding that money can be an overwhelming topic for many, she's audaciously passionate about creating financial confidence when it comes to people's well-being. This has been a catalyst to follow her passion of empowering and educating women in their financial journey. She is a certified executive coach, certified life coach, still holds a real estate broker's license, and she's a published author of 4 books. So without further ado, let's welcome to the Misfit Nation, Patti Handy, author, executive life, and financial coach. Welcome, Patti.
Thank you, Rich. I got to say, I love the mission of this show. That is a fantastic introduction.
Thank you very much. And
thank you again. Veterans. That's fantastic. Good for you.
I appreciate that. And thank you again for taking the time to come on with us tonight. I know you're in a hot place too out there on the West Coast in LA. You just went through the first hurricane I've ever heard of out there in my whole life. So thankfully you're here and able to talk to us as well.
Yeah, and to add little salt to the wound, we had an earthquake the same day.
Oh my! The hurricane, I think they were calling it.
Yeah. It wasn't a big one relative to what we usually have, but nevertheless, it got to the nerves.
It got to help you out a little more, get you out of bed a little quicker to see the water flowing down. So.
Yeah.
But like I said in my opening thing, I'm thankful that we're able to complain about things like that because we're still here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Patti, I gave a brief, basically about a paragraph about you there. You have a wealth of knowledge you can share with the Misfit Nation. If you can just tell us a little more about you from as far back as you want to go to how we got to where we are now, that'd be awesome.
Sure. Well, I won't give you the all the way back version because that's a long time. But high level, I've been working in the finance banking industry for many, many years. Went through a divorce quite a while ago. My son was 18 months old at the time, and I found myself out of work and single and alone and trying to navigate that whole process. Very overwhelming, stressful to say the least, but with the help of family and friends and just the one step at a time, I navigated through that and got to the other side. And as a result of the experience with going through divorce and working with women and money for so many years, I decided to take a big leap of faith, leave the financial planning world and go into the financial coaching world, where I'm able to help specifically divorced, widowed, and single women when it comes to their money.
Awesome. And I know in the pre-show, we spoke about this a little bit, the difference between a financial advisor and a financial coach. If you can bring that clarity, so you help me and before the show, maybe help the audience as well.
Sure. So a financial advisor, as an advisor, you manage money, you actually take funds in and you manage that money. You do a lot of the tax planning, a lot of the strategies. You do advice, as to, you tell them what you should be doing with the funds. As a coach, I don't advise anymore. I don't tell my clients you should be investing this percent in this fund and that type of thing. I educate on tax strategies and I educate on various funds and whatnot, but I don't tell them what to invest in. So as a coach, I'm more a financial strategist and life coach combination. So I am teacher, educator, strategist, and I walk with them through that path. And at the end of the day, oftentimes they need an advisor, and then I would refer them to an advisor if there's a lot of moving parts to their situation.
Okay. And do you do this only one-on-ones, or do you go wind up in groups sometimes, just giving the coaching to maybe a women's group or something like that?
Yeah, great question. So I do offer one-on-one private coaching because some individuals prefer that private consultation. And I also have a group coaching program that's a 90-day program that includes a online course. This is the curriculum that I designed. And then we meet weekly for 90 days. And the women learn from each other in that, kind of environment. So I do offer both.
And I think in the group setting, the women kind of push each other too, probably, to follow the steps that you're coaching them on. It helps a little more than the one-on-one. There's a little more accountability that way.
There's also the situation where women lead each other and they lift each other up. So there's that piece, which is nice. Yeah.
It's like having free cheerleaders, so it's good to get you through the hard times. And you went through a roller coaster, and having an 18-month-old going through the divorce and going through the steps and seeing what can happen to others. And now you're able to pay it forward or pay it backwards and forward, I guess, to teach those going through might be the same situation or leading down a bad path, to coach them out of those situations. So that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I know that in just speaking with ladies that used to come into my office, whether it was, when I was in the mortgage business or in the financial services business, there was a lot of common theme, a lot of common stories that I would hear. And it was a lot of just overwhelm and lack of confidence and sometimes embarrassment that they didn't know more than they should have. The husbands would take care of the, in the investing and the managing of the money. And so when something happened, whether it was a divorce or they lost their spouse, they were suddenly alone, didn't know what to do, starting over. And it was just, a lot of fear. So that was another, driving force for me to just want to take that fear away, because I know what going through life alone feels like. And I know that oftentimes it's hard to make decisions and to feel like you're just, on the right track. And that's what I want to try to help with in terms of taking some of that fear away.
And fear is a catalyst for a lot of things that everyone goes through. No matter what decisions they're making, they let fear kind of mold what they're doing. And you kind of easing that fear mode for them kind of helps them out, I'm sure, to say, hey, if Patty's saying this, she's been through this, she's went through this roller coaster, she can help me. I'm going to listen to this advice, and maybe I won't have to worry about the things that I really don't know what they are, but I'm afraid of them anyway. Right.
And we cover things that are aside from finance. We, a very large portion of the program is about finance, investing, your money in your world, managing your money. But there's a lot of self-care conversation. There's a lot of conversation around our money story and our relationship with money, which is a foundational piece, because, I can teach you the mechanics of money. I can teach you how, the mechanics of investing, some of the tactical pieces of it. But if you don't have an understanding of your relationship with money and your money mindset, you're going to end up where you've always been, which is why we see lotto winners, they come into this large sum of money and they don't understand that relationship with money that they have and their money story, and they go through it and it's gone in a very short period of time.
I say that all the time. Then I think there's a show on HGTV now, because, we have to watch that all the time. Even though we have a house, we have to watch House Hunters. My lottery dream home or something like that.
Yeah, yes. I love that show.
He talks to people that just won the lottery and brings them out. A lot of them don't buy big homes, but you see that as a kind of another way that people are just throwing their money into something that they finally found this money.
Right. Right. I'm always impressed when I see that show because I do love that show as well. And they've won like, $5 million and they're buying a house for 200,000. I'm
Right.
like, wow, good for you. That's, I mean, you're being smart with it. Hopefully you're doing something else with the other piece. But you're not going out and buying a $4 million house because you won $5 million, right? Because that would be a mistake.
I think I seen one a couple weeks ago. I think they won like $5 to $10 million. They went and got us almost a tiny house, kind of. It was $150,000. I'm not even sure where you can buy one for that price right now, but they got one for $150,000. Okay, they're going frugal on this, and they just want a place to live, so that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. And David, the host of the show, is always like, okay, that's good.
He's always in shock. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. And you're also an executive coach and a certified life coach. Do you bring all three of those parts together, or you try to keep them separate at all times?
No, in the financial coaching world, it definitely is a combination of all those that I bring to the table. Because with, working with a woman who's divorced or lost a spouse, there's a lot of life coaching involved. There's a lot of navigating, again, life on your own. And there's a lot of moving parts to what that looks like. And when I work with an executive, somebody who's a professional woman in a C-suite type position, I might bring in some of that executive piece to that. And I've had some conversations with ladies, and so yes, all of that gets intertwined. It's all kind of bundled together.
And I'm sure it's easy for you to navigate having all three of them and be able to give advice that basically you can probably do it all at the same time after doing it for so long. Give it at the executive level and also life level, and along with their financial coaching at the same time. Have you seen any pitfalls that some of the women have come into when you had to really coach them up to get out of problems?
A lot of it is very emotional based. A lot of it is trying to, and it depends on the timing of their divorce, the timing of their passing, their spouse passing. And when I was in the financial services world, we'd had clients come in were, sometimes in tears just because they were overwhelmed and whatnot. But a lot of it was just the trauma of getting through the divorce or the passing, dealing with the emotional, trying to figure out what to do with the money, trying to figure out what to do with, where to even start. So sometimes we have to unpack a lot of that first. And I always tell, ladies that I speak with, don't make any big financial decisions as you're navigating this right now. You can't make a good financial decision when you're in this space where you're dealing with darkness and you're dealing with fear and you're, feeling vulnerable. You have to come out the other side of that and get to a place of just out of the fog, I always say, in order to make a really good decision, because it's not going to be a good situation if you are making, especially if you have a large portfolio, if you're deciding what to do with that portfolio in a very vulnerable place. So you've got to be kind of careful with that for sure.
Exactly. I know in our household, since I was in the military for most of our first 22 years of our marriage, she handled all the money, not me. I was never home, so it'd be better if she understood it. But right now, I'm learning it now after being retired now. But so if something happened to me, she would have known what we have and where it goes. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are the opposite way, where the husband holds everything or the male holds everything and the woman really doesn't know what's going on, or vice versa from the spouses. And do you ever run into that where they really had no idea what they had or how to handle it?
Yeah, one story I remember clearly when I was in the mortgage business, I had a client whose husband passed unexpectedly. And fortunately for her, they found an account that she had no idea existed. And they had $600,000 in a fund that she wasn't even aware of. And I also say, because I saw this in the mortgage business as well, it goes both ways. You had just mentioned that, your wife was the one that took care of the monies, but if something happened to her, would you know what to do, right? Would you know the passwords of all the various funds of where things are at? Do you know where the statements are? Do you even know what you all have? And I'm not saying like you, I'm just saying, generally speaking, as a couple, I always suggest that, at least a couple times a year, you go on a money date and you go to dinner and you have a glass of wine or whatever, and you mutually have a conversation about the situation. Are we doing okay? Where is everything? Do you want to change anything? Do you think we need to, move things around? And that's just a, half an hour conversation. If that, it isn't this big, heavy weighted, conversation. It can be very light. And if it's done consistently, there's no big surprises. There's no big, heavy weight of, oh God, we got to talk about this again. If you're dealing with debt, if you're dealing with getting on a credit card debt, if you're dealing with, things with the kids, school loans, whatever's happening in your world, it should be done together. Even if one of you is stronger in the money conversation, you should have this conversation together. And by all means, know the passwords to every account, know the passwords to the laptop, know the passwords to the phone. All of that needs to be known, because we've seen, stuff happens unexpectedly, and you don't want to leave your loved ones in a situation where they're, having to figure life out and also deal with the loss of you, right?
All at the same time, and that's
right.
Things, the roller coaster even more steep to get out of it.
Exactly.
Question from the audience right now, Jake Holland, a frequent contributor here to the Misfit Nation. What are some tips for me to get things set up to where my wife doesn't have to deal with a lot of planning if something happens to him?
Well, Jake, is that what his name was? Jake?
Jake.
Yeah. So great question. So I think kind of what I just said, where you had this Monday conversation, just make sure that, today, I know a lot of this stuff is digital. I would love to have people print out statements, even if it's, once a year or twice a year, print out those statements, keep it in a folder. And so she can just go to that one folder and know from checking account, savings account, all the investment account, retirement account, pensions, insurance, any credit card statements, any kind of debts, your financial picture in its entirety should be in one folder, a physical folder. So she can go to that and just know exactly where she starts. And then if she's still dealing with the loss of you, obviously, she can get some help and go, okay, well, here's my statements, help me, right? And if it's on a digital, that's fine as well. There's actually a great website I can share where you can upload everything. And so they can go to this one website and they have everything. But I like the physical thing. So that's just my old school. But whatever works for you. But as long as she knows how to get to that information, she has to have the passwords to get to that. But really, just make everything just so disclosed. It just makes life so much easier. And then, of course, have an estate plan, get a living trust, and get all that in place. That's huge.
So for a lot of the veterans in the audience, you can reference this as a continuity book. So whenever we'd leave jobs in the military, you had a continuity book. So the next person can just fall in on that book and know how to do your job. The same thing you can do at home. Like you said, have a physical folder with all the financial documents in there, passwords, everything that they need to know, living will, trust and stuff. Same thing to set up for success instead of having them fight and go through attorneys and stuff to get things done.
Yeah, that's why the living trust and the estate plan is so important. I'll share the website that I was mentioning a second ago. It's called everplans.com. And I'm going to just disclose that you should do your due diligence and make sure that's okay, for you. I'm not an affiliate. I don't get paid, anything to tell them about or tell you about them. But it's it's kind of like a safe deposit box in the sky. So everything's uploaded to the cloud, and you upload everything you want. So every statement, every liability, every Social Security statement, insurance statement, credit card statements, everything about you. And you upload your estate plan, you upload, if you want to leave your family recipes, if you want to leave love letters to your family, if you want to, leave anything, you upload this to this one site. And nobody has access to this until you say that they do. So you assign deputies to the account, and those deputies get to access the account when you say. So if you are incapacitated, if you, only, when you pass, they can have access. If they have access now, that's okay. So you have the ability to control who sees what when, but everything is in one spot. And you can even upload your passwords to all your things. So in one area, all they've got to do is go to this one site and they can see everything. And it's like $100 a year. I mean, it's super reasonable. And it's just a great thing. And I personally use it myself. And it gives me peace of mind knowing that, my sons need to, go to one spot and, it's all there.
Definitely. And that website is going across the bottom of the screen now. I've also put it in the chat so everyone can just copy and paste it. Thanks for sharing with us, Patti.
Yeah. And again, just disclosure, you need to do your due diligence and make sure it works for you, because there's all that liability stuff going on.
Definitely. We don't want no one coming back saying, Patti told me to do this and I don't like it now. It's hard.
Yeah. No. Do your own homework, people.
You always do your own homework there, and you can compare that to probably 2 or 3 more out there. Compare, contrast, and see which one works best for you, or the physical one might be best for you as well. So do everything that works for you, and make sure it's the best thing for you and your loved ones.
And I actually have both.
See, because you're old school.
I'm an old school folk. Yes.
We use a little, basically a 5-subject notebook downstairs. Like, that's how we do our books downstairs.
There you go.
She likes nothing on the computer, so it has to be written. So that's how I have to find out stuff that way. But I look at the bank stuff online now as I'm catching up with her in our banking and stuff. So I'm learning as I go, learning and growing. Yes.
That's good. That's fantastic.
So if you could give advice to those, with some of our female veterans out here that are listening, that are starting, they're leaving the military, now they're wanting to become an entrepreneur or do something else with their lives, what kind of advice would you give them to start slow or start fast, or make sure they plan correctly?
In terms of their finances, or being an entrepreneur?
Becoming an entrepreneur with their finances.
Okay. As an entrepreneur, I would say that if you have a full-time job, to keep that job and do this part-time passion project on the side, and do that until you have, the assets coming in on a consistent basis, so that it doesn't become a financial strain on the family. There's so much people can do today with the, internet. There's so much, wonderful opportunity. And I think that if we are open to the possibilities and all the opportunities, things will start to just come to us and show us that, oh my gosh, okay, this is something I can do. I would also say that whatever side project you do, make sure you have a very big why, and make sure you understand, because as an entrepreneur, and I can speak firsthand at this, I mean, it's a roller coaster. It's not coming easy. It takes time, it takes diligence, it takes consistent, work, and it does involve a lot of, ups and downs. So if you don't have a really big why you're doing this, it'll be easy for you just to walk away and go, oh, you know what, not worth it, I'm done. But if you have a why, and I have a couple whys for me. One why is my son. He's my biggest why. My second why is I want to impact these women who are feeling alone and scared and just not confident when it comes to their money and dealing with life on their own, to walk with them and beside them and help them navigate during this, this difficult time. And that's what keeps me going, because I know that there are, tons of women out there who are struggling, and I want to take away that fear and that pain. So that's what keeps me going. So when I have those days where I'm like, oh goodness gracious, what am I doing? I kind of come back to that. So for those who are thinking about, doing something, make sure you've got a very big why, and it can't be just money. Now, having financial freedom and money freedom and time freedom is all very important, but it can't be just money, because there's a lot of very wealthy people out there who are miserable, right? So you've got to have that emotional tie to that why, not just financial.
Definitely, and that's a key point. You said there's a lot of very wealthy people that do not smile on a daily basis because they're just not happy people.
Yeah, absolutely.
They know they're loaded, but they're also not happy. Money does not buy happiness is a cliche that people say all the time, and it's true. You can be happy. You can be happy with $5 in your pocket with someone you love next to you. So just be happy with what you do and have that passion, like you said. Know your why, and I love to know your why, because if you don't know why you're doing something, it's not going to last.
Yeah, money buys you choices. Money buys you the opportunity to do things that you want to do, and I always say that money makes you more of what you already are. So I'll keep the language clean here, but if you're a jerk, okay, you're going to be a bigger jerk with more money. If you are a generous, loving, kind person, you will become more loving and generous. You'll have the assets to give more, right? And that brings you more joy when you're able to, give more. So money does, it can buy you happiness in the sense of what you do with that money, when you turn around and you give it to somebody or you do something with it that brings others joy. But money in itself, it does bring you a sense of freedom. It does give you a sense of again, those choices in life. But like I said, and we both just said, money in itself, there's a lot of people who are miserable and richer than rich. So
yes. Definitely richer than this rich. But.
When I said that, I realized I didn't mean it to you.
Well, I understood you.
Okay, good thing.
But I'm happy where I am. I know you're happy where you are as well, because you know your why. We quickly went over that. You're an author of 4 published books. What are they, and where can people find them?
So they're all on Amazon, and if you just put my name in there, it'll pop up. One is a children's book, and that book is focused on teaching 4, 5, 6-year-olds the importance of focusing on what's right in your world rather than what's wrong in your world. And then I wrote 50 Ways to Flourish After Divorce, and then How to Ditch Your Allowance and Be Richer Than Your Parents is a book that I wrote for teens and young adults about managing their money and learning about money. And it's very, very simple language and just very simplified. And then I rewrote that book and updated it. And that's the final book, which is Money Rules 101, Master Your Money Before It Masters You. So buy the Money Rules 101 book, not the How to Ditch Your Allowance book, because that's the rewrite and the more current one. So that's the one that, again, it's really applicable for adults as well. I had an attorney read it and said he learned some things in there as well. So it's definitely, money rules are money rules. It's just written in very simple language.
Nice. And make sure you search Patti Handy on Amazon. Those all 4 books will pop up. You can buy the children's book if you have a child, or if that's your reading level, get there too. And then get the latest book so you have all the knowledge you need to become better with what you're doing. Patti, thank you for taking your time tonight to hang out with us. What's a way for people to get in contact with you, maybe just to chat with you like we are, or maybe get some coaching from you?
Sure. So the great place to start is my website. It's pattihandy.com, PattiHandy.com. There's a contact page on there, and you can just book a call with me. You can email me, or if you put your information through that contact page, I'll get that email and I'll respond to you. But if you do want to have a conversation, I do offer a complimentary 30-minute call just to see how, where you're at and see how, I can help.
Awesome. And that website is going across the bottom of the screen now, and it will be in the show notes when we release this for audio as well. Patti, thank you again for jumping on here. I know it's actually earlier where you are, so it's good. You're not in nighttime like we are, but thank you for coming on and sharing a lot of knowledge with us. And I'll pass any questions off to you that come in after the show goes off so that you can answer for the audience as well.
Sounds great. I'd be happy to. Thank you for having me.
No problem. And I'll be back in about 2 minutes to close out with you.
Great.
This message is from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Did you serve in the military? If so, you can obtain a free lifetime pass to more than 2,000 federal recreation sites. These sites are located across more than 400 million acres of public lands, including national parks, wildlife refuges, and forests. The lands host activities to fit any lifestyle: hiking, biking, fishing, camping, and much more. Gold Star families are also eligible for these free lifetime passes. Plus, they cover entrance fees for a driver and all passengers in a car, or up to 3 additional adults at sites that charge per person. Obtaining one is easy. Just go to the National Park Service website, nps.gov, or the National Park Service app.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. It's themisfitnation.com to catch up on all of our episodes and also to get some of that great Misfit Nation gear. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling, because we are